if Shedeur is the man, then just say it. Say it as soon as you can. Because I still think he needs the confidence of knowing that his head coach believes in him enough to hand him the ball to start the season off. History tells me that if Watson is healthy, and that is the key to the entire conversation.
Yes, it is.
Watson should be able to go out there and win the competition without even blinking an eye if he's healthy and playing at maximum capacity. He's had so much time
off. And if
off.
he's playing at 80% capacity, and I'm thinking 80% of what we saw a long time ago, before he ever came here, if he's 80% of that, I would assume he's able to beat out Shedeur Sanders. And that's not about Shedeur, but that's how good Deshaun was at one point.
And you would think that to Todd Monken that would be crystal clear.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that.
He'll know.
Especially knowing that, and we say this all the time when someone's in a contract year, but Deshaun's playing for another season if he wants to keep playing or not. And so he should be motivated to want to be at peak performance, making peak decisions when he gets out on the field, although we're not going to know until they actually play a game. You would think that Watson should be able, if Watson's the guy that people want him to be, he should be able to just jump out right away and take the job. There shouldn't be any questions.
I would agree with that, but there are questions. But I agree with exactly what you said. I would think he's the guy. That said, it looks like, and it's my favorite line I've read in some time, Dan Lobby from the Plain Dealer saying, they are going to add somebody, right? Or are we really going to get the Deshaun Shedeur competition that they're threatening us with? Dan, I never cease to chuckle when I think or say that line. It's outstanding. That said, right now that's where you're sitting. Josh Edwards covers football for CBS Sports, and he went to Twitter the other day and wrote something about it, and he says, my guess is that Will Levis, who is in Tennessee, and of course, they have Cam Ward there now. They brought in Will as a second-round pick and then brought in Cam Ward. He said Will Levis is traded to the Packers, and Anthony Richardson is traded to the Browns. He did this the other day.
I don't know where that gets you. Again, I ask you if Deshaun Watson is who we just said he could be, why do you need to bring him in?
Well, I'll tell you why in a second, but Interestingly enough, Josh Edwards was on with the guys over the weekend, Spencer German and Earl the Pearl. And this is what Josh Edwards had to say in regards to the quarterback situation and Anthony Richardson and talking to Spencer and Earl.
Ultimately think that Will Levis and Anthony Richardson will be moved before the draft because both of their teams have already made amends to that or signed a backup quarterback. I think the Browns are going to be in that conversation for those two players. I think, a team like the Packers who are trying to replace Malik Willis are going to be in that conversation. So I think it makes more sense if you're a team like the Browns who could get one of those former first-round picks with a day 3 pick somewhere, whether that's a 4th or a 5th round pick. You're talking about the same draft capital you would use on one of these potential rookies. That's a more worthwhile dart throw to me than going down the route of a Carson Beck or a Drew Aller.
I couldn't agree with him more.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I just think there's something to be said for experience. It's the right way to put it. And so if you wanted to bring in either one of those guys.
Richardson has some.
But we're talking about doing this instead of drafting a quarterback this year, which to me makes a lot of sense.
The idea of drafting a quarterback this year makes no sense to me. None.
Unless they do it early, Jeff. Then all of a sudden.
Well, that changes the dynamic. You don't expect that, do you? You're talking about Ty Simpson.
Jeff, I want to believe that they're not thinking about doing that. And I'm not. It's the Browns, Jeff. They will do what you do not expect them to do. And please be prepared for them to trade 6 out. Especially, I'm just saying this, and you can sit on this. Ohio State fans that might be sitting there where, there could be a really, really good Buckeye on the board, and the Browns go, see ya, and move back in the draft. and let it slip through their hands, and then we get to sit back for the next few years and watch. Perhaps I'm not even going to say it because I don't want it to happen, but a very, very good Ohio State player go somewhere else because the Browns decided to trade back.
Here's why, and I've been intrigued by Anthony Richardson for some time.
Hmm?
This is the reason. He's still younger than Gabriel and Sanders. That's not going to change, by the way. When you're younger, you usually stay that way.
It's interesting how that works. Unless they're
he was
in a multiverse.
At one point, he was so highly thought of that he was a top 5 pick. And he has the physical skills and the physical build and the arm and the running ability that if I'm Todd Monken, I want to get my hands on that guy. And I want to see if I can be the guy to do it.
You're not going to like me.
Hold on. And he doesn't have to do it this year. That's the catch to me. He doesn't have to come in here and be the guy. Tell me you're going to get somebody in the 2027 draft who has the physical gifts that Anthony Richardson has. And, maybe you could. That'd be wonderful. And if that's because this is certainly looking like a 2027 we're getting a quarterback thing, unless Shedeur happens to pop and is great. That's why I would go. I would swap. Get Anthony Richardson in a 7th for a 6th.
Okay, here's
and if you could do that for a guy who was a top 5 pick, Andy, why wouldn't you? At least give it a look.
Based on your argument, though, that you and not argument, just wisdom, that
or BS.
Yeah, you would. If I wanted to debate you on that, I would go back and say, well, there were a lot of people that thought Shedeur Sanders should have been one of the top 2 picks in the draft.
Well, he wasn't, though.
I know, but you're like, if you believe that he should have been in the top 5, let's just say top 5 of the draft, I'll be nice. And instead of a 5th round pick, because of extenuating circumstances that were outside of his control, if you believe that, if you were Todd Monken, wouldn't you also want to put that kind of effort and energy into said quarterback, right? Like, if you're going to use the logic of based on what he was coming out, that I don't think you can. I think you can.
You're making.
If that's the case, then I'm going with Shedeur. He's already here. It doesn't cost you anything, and I want to work with him too.
Richardson wouldn't cost you much at all.
No, I know that, but I'm also but what it does cost you is
not reps because you're not sharing them equally.
Well, it's a headache thing. It's like, okay.
Why would it be a headache? Talented football players. Those aren't headaches. Those are helps.
I'm looking for a clear-cut answer. I'm so tired of being groggy about what the quarterback is or isn't. I want this team to stand behind a quarterback, and I want that quarterback to rise to the occasion and go out there and play. And I don't really have a lot of hope for this season, but you better believe a year from now, after the draft, that I hope we're in that position.
All I know is that of the 4 quarterbacks, the 3 that are here and Anthony Richardson, the one who intrigues me the most is Anthony Richardson. And I would love to see Todd Monken get his hands on this guy and see if he can coach him up. He turns 24 in May. Young guy, did not play very well in Indianapolis, and, of course, checked himself out of the game. Okay? Young guy, blah, 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 whatever. I think taking a flyer on a guy like that, and the Colts gave him permission to try and seek a trade. Taking a flyer on a young guy like that makes all the sense in the world to me. And then your coaching staff can look at him, see what they think. If they don't like him, get rid of him. But I think he has much more physical talent than any of the quarterbacks who are here. Can Todd Monken coach him up and get him to be to the level that many folks thought he would be coming out of the draft? That's why I'd take a chance and see what you get, because it won't cost you very much. Our buddy Scott Petrak kind of feeling, this smells like Shedeur, and then Deshaun Watson is there, but Scott thinks best overall it would probably be to go with Shedeur. And I best case scenario is that Shedeur shows he should win the job, and he does. And the way this is stacked right now, I would agree with that. I brought up Anthony Richardson after reports over the weekend, and you heard him right here on the Fan, talking about Anthony Richardson and the Browns as a destination for him. And I do think that's interesting. Josh Edwards from CBS is the guy who said it, and he wrote it for CBS, and he said it here on our air, and we heard that a little bit ago. He also mentioned Will Levis. And Will Levis was maybe going to be the answer in Tennessee and went down and didn't do a phenomenal job, and then they stunk, and then they got the number 1 pick, and they took Cam Ward. Dan's laughing.
Can we just point out the wording of didn't do a phenomenal job and Will Levis? That was so kind, it was ridiculous.
I'm not going to say anybody stunk.
That,
I mean, when a guy is 28, 29 years old and stinks, well, you can go ahead and say he stinks.
that's like when you go to your kid's second grade art show and your wife and you look at each other and go, well, that was
Something.
That
nice.
finger painting was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That really looks like it happened.
Those primary colors on the thumb are fantastic.
That's what that was.
Forgive me for not being a complete jackass all the time. Will was the first pick in the second round back in the 2023 draft, and they thought they had something there. And he's not been real good, but you could make the argument, Andy, that he is a guy who could come in and be your starting quarterback, either here or elsewhere. And remember, in 2024. He was okay. He had improved over his rookie season. He completed 63% of his passes, threw 13 touchdowns, 12 picks, just over 2,000 yards in 12 games. Titans were lousy. They were 2-10, which led them to Cam Ward. And I wonder, had they not been lousy and been the team sitting there for Cam Ward, would Will Levis still be their starting quarterback? They brought in Mitch Trubisky as their backup this year, which is why Will Levis is available. And I just wonder, Dan, even you, Dan, would have to agree with this. He's had more success in his NFL career than Anthony Richardson. Well, see, here's
what are we doing?
Here's what we're doing.
What is this?
What we're doing is this.
We're praying that his shoulder was the problem in 24.
You're going to bring in a guy who puts mayonnaise in his coffee and hand him the keys to the franchise?
What we're going to do is this.
If he puts mayonnaise in his coffee and is proud of it.
What we're going to do is this. We're going to talk about options because the ones who are here don't float my boat real well. Shedeur, crapshoot. Okay, fine. Deshaun Watson, crapshoot at this point. Okay, fine. Dylan Gabriel, double crapshoot. Okay? That said,
not here.
I was going to say, this sounds like Spalding Smales up the fairway.
That said, this just completely looks like a situation where the Browns are going to make do at quarterback and go into the 2027 draft and draft a quarterback.
Jeff,
Yeah.
let me finish
And that's okay.
Let me finish this.
But what if you could bring in a guy like Richardson or Will Levis, give him to the quarterback whisperer, Todd Monken, and see what he can do?
Jeff, you'll have nothing and like it.
Did you have to look that line up?
No, I knew the line. I didn't have to look it
Good.
up. Jerk.
Except what you're doing is you're not even ordering out of the concession stand. You're digging in the garbage can next to it.
Well, you know why?
No, I want a hamburger.
You know why?
No, I want a cheeseburger.
Is he going to eat it?
Just take
Is he
the
going to eat it? How much
$50
you
says
want
he
to
eats
put?
it.
20 bucks.
50.
says.
50?
Says
Is it 50?
he eats it.
I trust you.
Is it 50?
Yes, 50 says he eats it. That was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, I was going to say, damn, in the 70s.
They're going to go
that's
big
an
time
enough-
for that.
kidding.
It was in the 80s.
I mean, it was Brian Doyle Murray, too. It wasn't even Bill.
Yeah, good point.
I didn't have to look that up either, Jeff.
I just
Would've been 60 bucks
just
if
make
it was Bill.
I just make this point. Can you tell me that Shedeur or Deshaun Watson would be better this year and beyond than Will Levis.
I'm going Bobby Knight on you. Hang on, I got a bottle. If you're watching on YouTube,
Can you tell me that they'll be better than Anthony Richardson? That's my only point.
No, but just eat your Spam.
I'm not.
I don't understand why you're trying to eat something else besides the Spam that you've been served.
I think you're trying to force
I
a
haven't
free
had
agent
Spam
on
in
us.
a long time.
It's fantastic with eggs. Eat your Spam.
I haven't had it in a long time.
I don't know
really
why
salty.
you're trying to find
Oh my
something else
God.
besides
I
what's
feel
here
like
that's
I'm-
not better than what's here. Just accept what's in front of you. Eat your Spam.
Hi, take this lump of mediocrity here. Keep your fingers crossed that Todd can coach that up. I would just like to add another piece to the mediocrity and see if Todd can get something out of that.
Eat your Spam. Just eat it.
Jeff, you can put cheese on that thing and it's not filet mignon.
Darn right.
Okay.
You're not saving this. There's nothing you are going to throw out right now that
You
is
might
going
as well.
to save the quarterback situation of the Cleveland Browns.
Are you
Just put Velveeta
satisfied?
on. You're good to go.
Are you satisfied with the 3 question marks that are here? The Browns just might be, and that's okay.
No,
Yeah, because
but everything else is a question mark too. This isn't. There's nothing. There's no
but it's
clarity.
the most important position in sports, and they're sitting there thinking, Deshaun hasn't played in 17 years, but by golly, that surgically repaired shoulder might be okay.
How about
Watch out
this
for
one?
that Achilles.
How about
There-
this one, Jeff? Hey, maybe we're going to suck this year, and that might not be the worst thing ever because we might get another quarterback next year in the draft.
You know, Andy, I get that, except for this. You ready? They keep telling us they want to win games.
Well,
That's
they better.
lovely.
They're trying to sell tickets.
Yeah,
They keep telling us they want to win games.
that's lovely. I keep telling you I want to lose weight, yet here I am.
You keep telling us you're going to win the lottery and split the cash with us, but
Yeah,
at
here
least
you
give
are.
us a
I'm
little
not
bit.
splitting anything.
Because
No
we'll know
kidding.
when you
If I
win
win
it.
the biggie, you each get $1 million.
All right, cool.
We'll know when Jeff
After
wins
taxes.
because we'll never see him again.
Wait, do we have to pay tax on
No,
that too? then?
yeah, you get $1.5 million, and then you can pay tax.
Well, yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I'm just
I can't
saying,
worry about
guys.
those tax problems.
I keep looking at the guys who are here, and I keep thinking, okay,
Stop looking.
that's what I just think. Okay, fine.
Jeff,
because
you're
all
bringing
they're-
up these other guys,
all they're
and I feel
telling-
the same way.
All they're telling me is that we're looking for our quarterback next year, or we're hoping to get really lucky with Shedeur, especially. Maybe Dylan Gabriel. I don't even think that anymore. And
Jeff,
and
it's a clean slate.
And
What-
maybe
there's no luck to
Deshaun.
it.
Maybe Deshaun. Well, Todd's not mentioned much about Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't count him in this. It's
No,
a two-guy race.
Gabriel thing doesn't make any sense right
No,
now.
it's
None of it.
it's a two-guy race.
The
And
only person it made sense to was Kevin.
If I could bring in Will Levis or especially Anthony Richardson, and dispatch Dylan Gabriel, I would feel better about the threesome at quarterback and think that maybe, just maybe, we have a guy who could be a good quarterback, and Richardson would be that guy more than Will Levis for me.
Excuse me, deckhand. Can you take that chair over there and move it to the starboard side of the Titanic? Thank you.
Jeff, you've been kidnapped by Kmart. Seriously. I mean, really, ask yourself in your heart there, Bette Midler, do you think any one of these guys is going to make a difference?
I think Anthony- I think Anthony-
blue light bulbs.
But I got to tell you, Bette Midler did look good after hitting the treadmill there for a couple weeks in Ruthless People.
She was great on Seinfeld.
Oh, Danny DeVito was awesome in that movie. He was so good.
I honestly think Anthony Richardson still has an outside chance of becoming a pretty good NFL quarterback. And I would be willing to take a chance and give up. I don't even need to get your lousy 7th-round pick in return. I'll give you a 6th for him and bring him in. And if he's no good, okay, cost you a 6th-round pick that Andrew Berry wouldn't have got right anyway.
I don't know. He got his picks right last year, although he gave away that. But
He didn't have a 6th last year, though.
no, I know. But you know what he should do is just trade the 3rd-round pick for as long as he ever. Let's just say he thinks he's going to be here 10 more years. Just get to the 3-year mark. Every 3 years, just throw away that 3rd-round pick because he's been outstanding at that. I don't understand. They threw it.
You guys don't agree on the quarterback thing, though? I mean, wouldn't you rather have
No.
Wouldn't you rather have
Jeff,
Will Levis or Anthony Richardson than Dylan Gabriel as the 3rd quarterback here?
Okay, sure, yeah, yes.
And maybe
Yeah.
No, because it makes no difference.
well, I think it does. I honestly think those two guys are developable. developable.
Isn't Gabriel, though, too? I mean, you could
No,
say that.
I don't. You know why, Andy? Because I don't like 5'9" quarterbacks.
I know.
I just don't. I'm sorry. You know, Dylan throws a nice ball and everything else. He's 5'10" on a good day. And give me Anthony Richardson at 6'5", 6'4", 244 pounds, and runs like a running back, and then runs you over like he's a linebacker. Give me that guy. Give me that guy. Give me Will Levis at 6'4", like 240, 230, who can throw. Give me those guys. I don't need the little guy. I didn't need him when they drafted him. We've talked about Dylan because he was the third-round pick, and they obviously liked him better than Shedeur at the time. Whether the new coaching staff does or not, who knows? Whether the guy who drafted them likes Shedeur better, who knows? All I know is, man, if you're going to give me a choice, I'm getting rid of Dylan, and I'm going to bring in Anthony Richardson or Will Levis and let those guys compete. And maybe they beat the snot out of Shedeur and Deshaun Watson in a competition. And then you might have your starting quarterback and not have to draft one in the 2027 draft.